It's getting to the point where it feels disingenuous and downright lazy to say that something is pretty good for a Wii game and just sort of leave it at that. I mean, we're only talking about the world's most popular game console here, people. But it doesn't exist in a vacuum, and neither does the Conduit, a new first-person shooter from Sega and High Voltage. If you take it against the subset of games that are only available for the Wii, the Conduit is, just like the ads claim, the best pure first-person shooter available. But it's also practically the only pure first-person shooter on the Wii. That's cool if you only own a Wii and haven't paid any attention to any other first-person shooters over the last 15 years. But chances are, if you're reading a site about video games on the internet, you've seen a game like this before, and you've seen it done better. While there's something really cool about seeing it done competently on the Wii, that doesn't make the Conduit a great game. In fact, most of the issues that the Conduit has would be bad on any platform. The story, for example, is a flat sort of conspiracy theory thing involving an alien invasion. It's poorly told through bad voice acting and screens full of text.
Why should I believe you?
Right now, you don't need to. You just need to listen.
While the graphics engine feels impressive from a technical standpoint, the artistic side of the graphics give you bland environments and dull design for both the enemies and the weapons. The Conduit feels pretty slow, and I was left with the impression that the game was deliberately kept to a slow pace to compensate for the game's controls. That's not to say the game doesn't control well. In fact, if you're looking to build a first-person game on the Wii, this is pretty much exactly how you should do it. But the controls never felt like they were up to the task in high-intensity situations. The turning never feels quite right, the aiming never feels quite accurate enough. But when you're just cruising around, ducking behind cover, and standing up to shoot aliens in their stupid alien faces, it's totally fine. The notion of intensity gets in the way during the multiplayer a bit. Since real humans are going to be better at shooting fast and getting out of your way than the sleepy AI in the single player, you'll be left with more moments where you feel like you aren't turning fast enough to nail dudes behind you and so on. That's sort of an artificial issue since everyone is equally yoked with the same control scheme, but it's still something that I found a little frustrating. It's cool that the Conduit has multiplayer at all, to be honest, but then we're getting back into cordoning the game off from the rest of the world. More often than not, first-person shooters probably should have multiplayer. Here you can get into the basic games of deathmatch, team deathmatch, and a capture the flag variant. Also, the game has support for voice chat via the Wii Speak peripheral, but that'll only work if you're playing games with friends, not strangers. High Voltage has managed the technical side of all this stuff very well. The controls work about as well as you could ask for, taking some of the concepts used in Metroid Prime 3 and making them work in a more action-oriented game. The engine's pretty solid, and it has a totally functional, if somewhat Spartan multiplayer offering. But those are all just tools. And in the case of the Conduit, those tools aren't backed up by a great game. So I find a lot of things about the game interesting on a clinical level, but as a game, it's not much fun at all.
This is no